There were only 4 of us in the train car when the lights went out, but by the time they came back on, one of us was dead. I didn't take the late-night train often, but that evening, the snowstorm made driving impossible. The train was nearly empty, its usual hum muted by the howling wind outside. I was in car 12, a dimly lit, slightly chilly compartment. Apart from me, there were only 3 other passengers. A woman in her 30s wearing a sleek black coat, nervously tapping on her phone. An older man with a salt and pepper beard, clutching a leather briefcase like it held his life savings. A teenager with headphones too big for his head, bobbing to music only he could hear. The tension in the air was almost tangible. The storm outside rattled the windows, casting fleeting shadows across our faces. As we pulled away from the last station, the train entered a long, dark tunnel. That's when the lights flickered, dimmed, and finally went out. A collective gasp filled the car, and then silence. Absolute, suffocating silence. I reached for my phone, its weak glow barely illuminating the space around me. I could see faint silhouettes, but no one moved. "Is everyone okay?" I asked. Before anyone could respond, a sharp, wet thud echoed through the car. It was unmistakable, the sound of something heavy hitting the floor. My stomach twisted. The lights flickered back on, and that's when I saw it. The older man with the briefcase was sprawled across the aisle, a crimson pool spreading beneath him. His eyes stared blankly at the ceiling, and a jagged piece of metal protruded from his chest. The woman screamed, backing into the corner, her phone clattering to the floor. The teenager ripped off his headphones, his face pale. My heart pounded as I stared at the body, unable to process what had just happened. "We have to call for help," I stammered, reaching for the emergency brake. The woman shook her head violently. "No. If we stop here, whoever did this could come for us next." Her words sent a chill down my spine. She was right. We were in the middle of a tunnel, no signal, no escape, and one of us was a murderer. I forced myself to think. We need to stay calm and figure this out. None of us can leave this car until we know who's responsible. The teenager glared at me. "You think it's one of us? How do we know it's not you?" "I was sitting here the whole time," I shot back. "We all were. But someone must have moved when the lights went out." The woman interrupted, her voice trembling. I didn't move. I was sitting right here." I swear the boy crossed his arms. "Yeah, right. You're the one freaking out the most." The tension was unbearable. My mind raced as I scanned the car. The older man's briefcase was still clutched in his hand, its lock snapped open. Papers were scattered across the floor, some splattered with blood. "What's in the briefcase?" I asked, inching closer. The woman hesitated. "Why does that matter? We should be focusing on who—" "It might tell us why he was killed," I cut in. "What if this wasn't random?" I carefully pried the briefcase from the man's stiffening grip. Inside were stacks of documents, all stamped with the logo of a pharmaceutical company. Among them was a file marked "Confidential." Flipping it open, I found legal documents, whistleblower reports, and a list of names. My blood ran cold when I saw the woman's name among them. "Care to explain this?" I asked, holding up the file. Her face turned ashen. I don't know what that is. I've never seen it before," the teenager sneered. "Sure you haven't. Looks like someone wanted to keep him quiet and now you're trying to cover your tracks." Before I could respond, the train lurched violently, throwing us off balance. The lights flickered again, plunging us back into darkness. Panic set in. I could hear shuffling, the sound of someone moving, fast. A crash echoed from the far end of the car, followed by the woman's scream. The lights snapped back on, revealing the teenager standing over the woman, holding a shard of glass. "Drop it," I shouted, stepping between them. "It's not what it looks like," the boy yelled, his voice cracking. "I heard her moving and I thought—" "You thought what?" I demanded. That she was coming for you? Or are you just trying to finish what you started?" The woman sobbed, shaking her head. "He's lying. I didn't do anything." My head spun. Nothing made sense. The boy looked terrified, but so did the woman. And the older man. What if his death wasn't about the briefcase at all? Then I noticed something. Blood on the teenager's sleeve. Not fresh, but dried. My stomach churned. "What's on your arm?" His face fell. "It's paint. From my art class earlier." The woman scoffed. Convenient excuse. Before I could question him further, the train finally emerged from the tunnel. The station lights came into view, and I breathed a sigh of relief. The train screeched to a halt, and security flooded the car. The boy and the woman were both taken into custody, protesting their innocence. In the days that followed, the truth came out. The older man had been a whistleblower, exposing corruption in the pharmaceutical industry. The woman, an employee of the company, had been assigned to silence him. But the boy, he was just a frightened kid caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. As for me, I still can't take the train without looking over my shoulder. Because sometimes the most dangerous people aren't the ones you expect. They're the ones sitting quietly, waiting for the lights to go out. If you want to hear the chilling story of 9 hikers who mysteriously vanished, only to have their bodies discovered in the freezing snow, click here.